Hey everyone, this is Austin. Today I'll be talking about the app that I'm building, or I built for 5500. The app that I built, I'm calling it WellFed. And WellFed was, as we can see on the screen, was developed to combat the obesity issue in America. According to the Trust for American Health in 2023, about 42% of adults had obesity. And so this is an issue that's continuing to grow and continuing to build and needs a solution to be able to combat this issue that is impacting so many different people in our country. I am a personal trainer and nutrition coach. So, from my experience working with clients and people that I've talked to, just in my research and my passing and whatnot, I've learned how much you really can't outwork your diet. People will exercise, people will do all these different diets and like fads and whatnot for short term, but if you're not eating healthy for the long term, those things are going to catch up to you. Whatever you do is going to catch up to you, and being able to combat that is a hard thing to do because people get tired of eating the same things over and over again. Meal prep gets repetitive. People just also don't understand how to eat healthy as well. So it's a very challenging task for many people just to understand how to eat healthy and to follow these health guidelines as well. So what WellFed will allow users to do is to go into their kitchen with the application, type in or select the ingredients they already have available, and then be able to get back a list of recipes that can be made with those ingredients, but also with the nutritional information for each recipe. So they can then go in and track that food and log it into their meal log for the day and be able to kind of follow along with that as they build out their healthy lifestyle eating and continue to learn how to eat healthier through the foods that they already use or their foods they already have. So giving us understanding of how that works so a user can go into the functionality of the application, input a food that they already are about to eat, or click one of the recipes they're selecting, and then get back the different macronutrient values, so calories, protein, fat, and carbs, get back different values for that food and log it into their meal log and see from this static visualization right here that the value of that food compared to their goals for the day. And being able to track that as they continue to eat and continue to go about their day will help them to understand how to eat healthier and how to make better decisions in their eating. So thinking back to the human-centered design that we've done throughout the class, I'm going to talk first about empathy. So in like, facing empathy or dealing with empathy, I wanted to make sure that people are actually this is an actual issue. People want to be able to eat healthier, and people understand like that they need to eat healthier. And so what I did was I went to the grocery store. I talked to some people at the grocery store, just asked them, like, stopped them and asked them questions about how they go about grocery shopping, how they go about planning their meals. Understand that people really don't. People will plan meals, but they ultimately tend to eat the same things over and over again. And so being able to have that variety and that flexibility is something that people really don't know how to do as much unless you're an experienced chef or someone who's been cooking for years. But this app is more so for those who are not yet at that point in their life. And so they have an idea of what they want, but being in the grocery store and just being out in life, if you see something and you eat with your eyes, people will see foods like, oh, I want this. But again, not necessarily know what they want to do with it. And so being able to find how to help people to bring more structure to this, well, structure and flexibility at the same time, that kind of balance that we're finding, is where I wanted to understand how people really needed to what people really needed and how they wanted to learn more about their eating habits. And so finding these meals and creating substitutes for healthier ingredients for foods that they know that they like, but they also don't understand that those foods are leading to the issues in health that they're facing in their life. So being able to really understand like people's habits and understanding their patterns and learning more about the actual user is really what I wanted to do in this phase. And this was very helpful for me just to figure out how to build out the app, not only just for this class, but for moving forward as I continue to develop it more and more. And so to define the problem, I went through the list of observations that I found from my talking to people in the grocery store and these things of that nature. So there's kind of like these different observations that I gathered, and being able to understand what's more important, what's like a need versus a want to have kind of thing. So helping people to understand like the fact that you really can't outwork your diet, or it's hard to find like be both healthy and wealthy. People struggle to find out what to eat at a grocery store because a lot of the foods they want to eat or like being able to grocery shop regularly is expensive. And so being understanding like the actual issue kind of ties back into empathy and what I was talking about before. But understanding the actual issue that people are facing is very important to develop a solution because you want to make sure you're targeting what people actually need. And so understanding concept like protein, like in the bottom left hand corner, you see people think protein makes you fat or big. That's an actual like common thing that I've heard from a lot of different people. Understanding that protein is actually one of the most important macronutrients because it helps to help you burn fat. It helps to build muscle and recover after hard, intense exercise and things of that nature. So being able to understand that people not only need a solution, but they need the education behind that as well. And so that's what I want WellFed to eventually be able to do is to help people to understand how they can eat healthier, but also understanding the underlying methods and science behind it in as simple of terms as possible. As far as prototyping, I developed these wireframes for my application. So this is kind of going through the process of what the app will look like, and this is also what I used to test with my potential users. And so being able to go into your kitchen again with this on your phone, your computer, and type in the or select the ingredients that you have available. Once you select those ingredients, you can then go to the next page and get the actual recipes that fit those ingredients. Having the ability to look at the recipes, see the names, and also pictures of them helps users just understand like better. It's visually more appealing to users. And eventually, I want to add in the functionality of telling users what they could make if they, based on the ingredients they selected, if they had X, Y, Z additional ingredient, they could make these recipes. So they're allowing the flexibility as well and helping them to build out meal plans for themselves. And then once they select the recipe, getting the picture, the macronutrient quantities, the ingredients, the directions, and just being able to also log that food into the daily meal log so they can continue to develop that understanding of how to eat healthier and track their eating progress as they go about their day. So I wanted to ideate over the course of time, being able to help this application develop further and further, being able to understand what users want, and so the what we did in class was very helpful for me in this area. Just having these questions that people ask, like how can we ensure that other cultures and like exotic foods are included because those cultures want to. Some people have cultural restrictions or dietary restrictions from cultural or religious affiliations, and so being able to make sure that this app is inclusive is very important to me. And so what I wanted to do was use a very wide range of recipes. So for right now, I have 30,000 recipes in the database or in the data set that I'm using for the app. I have a collection of about 1 million recipes, and so continuing to add more and more as I understand how users want to eat and what they are preferring is one thing I want to do. But also one of the more important aspects I believe is allowing users to input their own recipes. Like say you have a cultural recipe from your family or something you learned from just eating over the course of your life, and you want to be able to have that food or recipe included in the application. I want users to be able to go into the app and add that in so that it can then be also calculated for them and added into their meal log. And so being able to have that flexibility for users to still eat the things that they regularly eat, they want to eat, but knowing the nutritional content of those meals as well is very important. And so that again helps to support the function of expanding to support diets, and that system just again logging food and using that gauge that I showed in the previous slide. I think is a very engaging experience because you can see that as you continue throughout the course of your day and you can watch it and you can track it. I think that's engaging for users, but eventually I want to add in the functionality of being able to work with affiliate partnerships like meal prep services or grocery delivery services so that when someone tracks for a certain period of time, they then get discounts on these different services and different options that they want to utilize. So being able to do that, I think, will be very important for my users and helping them to just continue to eat healthily and not get bored of eating healthily. And so, done a lot of talking to this point, going to show the application now. So we'll come back over here and I'll expand this a bit more. So this is what WellFed looks like at the moment. So what a user would do is they would come into this application and they would input their biometric information. So for me, I'm about 6 foot, so 72 inches, about 200 pounds, and I'm a 26-year-old male. And from here, I can then click the calculate button, and I will then have my numbers for myself. So this is calculated based on an equation that calculates it's called the basal metabolic rate. It's the amount of calories that your body will burn naturally without you doing any kind of extra effort or intensity or exercise, kind of calculated based on your biometric information. And so now I have these numbers, and I will go into the recipes tab, and I have it defaulted to select almond, but let's say I have almonds and chicken breast. This gives me back 14 recipes. So if I click here and go into one of these recipes now, I'll click this chicken and pasta salad right here. What I'll then do is go into the recipe information tab and get back all the information for that recipe. So I have the chicken and pasta salad. I have the ingredients necessary, the total macronutrient values for this recipe. Um, I put ingredients twice. I'll remove that, but the directions for the recipe as well. And I can come down here and add this into my daily meal log. And so we'll see here I have this food selected for myself. And then when I look down here, I see the values added to my gauge for the day. And as I go about the rest of my day, let's say I go and I want to eat my second meal of the day, and I have, let's say, salmon, not chicken, I say salmon and eggs. And I want to make this Alaskan omelet. Click here, again, do the same thing, and I will go and add this to my log for the day, and that will add to my values so I can then continue to track as I go about my day and being able to make sure that I'm staying within these boundaries that I've set for myself based on the health goals that I have. Also, if I want to remove something, I can just click it and press remove, and that not only removes it from my daily log, but also updates the values to show that that is removed from there as well. And so, yeah, that's the application. And continuing again to develop more and more. But I'm going to go back to our slides and talk about alternative approaches. So one thing that I thought about doing was using bar charts instead of those gauges. I didn't use bar charts because I actually had tried it, I tested it out, and I showed some users the bar charts. They said they can get kind of confusing. I was using stacked bar charts to show not only the amount of calories they need for the day, but how that was broken down between protein, fat, and carbs. And the complication of the stacked bar chart made users confused and kind of took away from what I wanted to do with this app. So I shifted away from that, used the gauges because I feel like they're more visually appealing and engaging. Again, talking about dietary restrictions, I want to continue to add that functionality in that so that a user can go in when they go into the let's see for here, for example, when they go into personal information, they can click like, I'm a vegetarian or I don't eat dairy, something like that along those lines. And then now the recipes that they receive only fit those criteria because the recipes I have they have food categories to like meats versus vegetables and dairy versus non-dairy, things like that. So I can use that to filter out recipes. And so I want to be coming back over here. I want to be more inclusive and understanding of what users want. So being able to add that functionality in at some point, I didn't do it at this point because there's a bit more complication behind that, and I don't have the users to test it yet. But also, lastly, talking about APIs for database flexibility. So being able to host a larger data set, the million recipes wouldn't. The reason why I didn't go with all those is because it was making the application very slow. It was hard to load and hard to kind of work with. And so I started with 30,000 I'm using right now, but being able to host that data somewhere and pull that information from an API will be very helpful in the development of this app for the future users. So, in conclusion, talking about why the application I feel is really important for users. Again, struggling to achieve those health goals, people understand that they need to eat healthier, but don't know how to. And so they don't stick to their health goals over the long term because they feel like it's too complicated to learn and to follow. And so being able to provide users with a tool like this is going to help them not only to understand how to achieve their health goals, but stay on track of them more so because now they'll have more convenience and personalization in that process. And rather than the typical meal prep solutions or the repetitive meal prep that you eat on a regular basis, cooking the same meal for 5 days in a row, people don't want to do that. And so helping users to have a solution where they can be more flexible and have more understanding of what they want to, how they need to eat with the foods that they want to eat is what really WellFed is meant to do. And I hope to continue to develop this application. Not hope, I will continue to develop this application and build it out for the users that I know really need it. And then being able to add in some kind of machine learning application to learn users' eating habits and be able to suggest foods to users that align with their eating habits and their goals. And so I want to continue to work this out and make sure this application is really helpful so we can combat that overall obesity issue, help people to avoid health issues like diabetes and just long-term health issues, being really helpful to the larger population and making sure that everyone is eating healthy. So, yeah, that's my app. And thank you all. I'm looking forward to hearing everyone else's.